What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. Our brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. And we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Maybe I'm a little young, but you don't know what I've become. Can't you see it in my face? But even living in disguise, but you can see the killer in my eyes. I've got a look you can't escape. Poco no mirai wa,誰にもわからない。
Hey, good morning, coffee beans. Sorry there for kind of a scruff start there. I was talking to my right hand person, Purple Paw Prince. She overslept a little bit. She slept in this morning. Why? Because she fell into the Zolly trap. Yeah. Zolly had one of her awesome streams last night, and she got enthralled in it and couldn't turn it off. So she slept in a little bit this morning. So I was talking to her. It's okay. Listen, it's Friday, guys. It's Friday. We survived a week, and we survived another week. We only had one. Well, I can't talk about this because we gotta behave in the first however many. We got like the first 7 minutes. I can't talk about everything that we had happen this week, but it was down. The numbers were down on allegations this week. We'll just let it go at that, right? So anyway, but listen, we're going to have some fun today. I've got some couple of updates to stories that we covered earlier in the week. There's been just a little bit, more information that's kind of dropped, I guess you would say, or whatever, right? But listen, I just want to pause for just a moment, though, and I'm going to just say honestly and truthfully, look, in all sincerity, if you we got 3 shows in this week over on DeadOnDave. We had a show Monday night with Xylee. It was off the hook. Great show. And then due to some Mother Nature not cooperating, we didn't get to do the Tuesday night. We had to bump it to Wednesday with Bunny. Didn't matter. That show was just phenomenal. Bunny has been such a huge asset coming into the show. I think, Dave and I were talking how each week it just gets better, and I think that's because she's becoming a little bit more comfortable with us. She kind of had a little bit of a excuse me, in her debut, I guess, into making content on the YouTubes and stuff. She kind of had a little rocky start, right? Got a little bumpy, some turbulence, and the plane ended up going down, right? So to say that she would be a little bit trepidatious, I think is understandable. But she's starting to come into her own over on Dave's show. She's just so witty and delightfully funny and easygoing. And listen, and I think this is the cherry on top with her. She got petty. She got some pettiness in her. And listen, Peepaw is all about some pettiness. It's my favorite color. And then last night's stream, holy smokes, we had Nicholas DeOrio, we had Bo Blacks on there, and Nicholas did a excellent job of kind of breaking down that whole Destiny and whatever that girl's name was. She's changed her name a few times, I think. And we got a little update on that. But irrespective, just was a great show last night. So, excuse me. Anyway, if you missed any of those streams this last week, do yourself a favor and go check them out, because they were just really, really good. And so guess what, guys? Today is St. Patrick's Day, right? And so these two possums are talking to each other, amongst themselves. There's this, calling yourself opossum doesn't make you Irish, Bob. Well, I disagree. Now, I'm Irish. I've got Irish blood that come in from my father's side, right? His mother was Irish. That whole bloodline is Irish. I've got a wee bit of Irish on my mom's side too, right? So, but irrespective, on St. Patrick's Day, everybody's Irish, right? So make sure you're celebrating the Irish today, right? Celebrate that. Get out there. Maybe have you a beer or two if you're a consumer of beer, if that's something that you do. But the important thing is just to have fun, right? Just to celebrate and to welcome into the spring. We're still having a few cold snaps here, but listen, it's the trees are starting to bud out. It's getting green again. So 100% get out there and celebrate, because today everybody is Irish. And we got a two for today, buddy. Celebrating St. Patrick's Day? No, we're Dr. Seuss fans. Now, here's the problem with being a Dr. Seuss fan. This day and age, that'll get you canceled, right? They canceled Dr. Seuss. They yeeted him right out of the school districts. They said he was problematic. Don't ask me why. I don't know. I never found anything wrong with green eggs and ham, or Sam I Am, or the Horton Hears a Who. Come on. But sure enough, yep, they tried to yeet him right out of there. So I got some just quick little videos. I was, yeah, I know what they were saying, Joshua. Just because someone says something doesn't make it true. We got to be smarter than that, guys. We got to be smarter than that. So I, excuse me, got a little frog in my throat this morning. Last night after the stream, I do something that every once in a while I do. I don't do it too often because it I don't know. Doing this just really pushes all my buttons, right? It hits all the little endorphin things, right? I got on TikTok and started scrolling through TikTok, and I came across this video, and I'd seen this video once before, right? But I don't know. Listening to this again, this story, I don't know. It kind of touched me. This is a little bit longer TikTok. It's 2 minutes and 32 seconds, right? But I think it's very, very good, especially if you are a fan of the animated series that I see. This would have been in the 80s, late 80s, I think is when it came to the U.S. And then we had subsequent movies made. But anyway, I think once you see this, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Did you come up with the original voice for Optimus Prime?
It's a story that I've told many times, and maybe some of you have heard it, but it's a story very dear to me, and it's the truth. It happened. My brother Larry, a captain in the Marine Corps, had returned from Vietnam. He was a decorated Marine, and the Bronze Star with V and a couple of Purple Hearts. And we were sharing an apartment, going through a difficult time in my life, when Larry came down, and it was about 1984, and we were, as I said, living in an apartment together. And he would always take a little interest in where I was going every day, because I was a grunt, as the Marines would say. You know, if you're a ground trooper, you're a grunt. Anyway, Larry's 13 months older, 5 inches taller. And, but we're 13 months apart. We were very, very close. So he said, "Peter, where are you going today?" I said, "Well, Larry, what, you need the car?" I said, No, I just want to know where you're going." I said, "I'm going to audition. I'm going to be, I'm auditioning as a truck." He did the same thing. And so I said, "But Larry, he's evidently he's a hero truck. He's a hero." And his face got somber, and he said, "Peter, if you're going to be a hero, be a real hero. Don't be a Hollywood hero type with all the BS and all the yelling and screaming and trying to be tough. Be strong enough to be gentle." "Okay, Larry, yeah." So as his voice is ringing in my ears as I'm driving to the audition, and I read the copy, and Larry is just coming out, his voice, the way he talked to me. And it said, you know, "I'm Optimus Prime." No, it was, "My name is Optimus Prime."
I don't know. There's just something about that. Him telling that story, and the line about be strong enough to be gentle, right? To be tough enough to be gentle, right? And I think that that is the epitome of what it is, really, right? To not just to be a leader, right, or to be a hero. But I think that's what we should aspire to, right? That we're tough enough, and so tough that we can be gentle, right? And so anyway, I just, like I say, that's every time I see that little clip, I don't know, it just touches I don't know, a soft spot, a tender spot in my heart. And I don't know, I love that little video. But anyway, so enough of the sappiness, right? Enough of the all that, right? So this next little TikTok, this one kind of was more, I was like, yeah, this is more in line. This is more in line for what I do, right?
We bought a new bull last month to service our herd. Paid $6,500 for him. We put him out in the pasture. He just ignored every cow out there. He ate grass for 2 weeks, got a little bit heavier, but that's it. So I'm a little worried about him, so we called the vet and had the vet come out and look at him. The vet told us he was okay. He's a little bit young maybe, but he left a little bit of medication to give him, which we've been doing, and I'm here to tell you that about 72 hours later here, he has serviced every cow in the herd. We have over 600 head. I don't know what medication the vet left us, but it does taste like peppermint.
It does taste like peppermint, he said. Oh, Lord. So, all right, let's see what we got in chat this morning before we go too much further. So we got Shockmouth. How are we doing this morning, Mitch? Beth Ann, Picklington, Joshua's here this morning. Mike Lopez. Why you awake this early? It's 4:31. You're awake this early, Mike, because you're having some coffee with Peepaw. That's why. Joshua Pittman, the Amber Chick, Purple Paw Prince. DeadOnDave is in here. Not your typical mom. Abby. Always good to see Abby. Orson Wellies. Egg Picker. Hey, Egg Picker, how you doing? 8030. And, of course, Jardin or Sore. Jardin or Sore. I don't know. That name always just gives me such a tongue twister. Came across this tweet this morning. This was a little bit disheartening. The Spondusi. This was a retweet out by Comment Cop is why I saw it. Says iDubbbz either unlisted or privated the content cop on Roscum, or it got taken down. So the content cop on Ricegum is Sponda. That's Sponda. Okay, D30. I'll take your word for it. Anyway, the content cop that iDubbbz did on, I guess, Roscum is no longer. That's kind of sad. So anyway, Flamenco, I guess decided to for whatever reason retweet this tweet out by this person by the name of Grixit, I guess, Grixit, Grixit. This was from the stream last night. As you can see, we had like at the time 346. At one point, I think we had over 350 people watching us last night. But you know the puking emojis, and Flamenco retweeted this. I guess he's, I don't know, maybe as Nicholas says here. I guess Flamenco's mad that Dave averages more viewers than him now. I guess that's the only thing I can take away from it. I don't know why else he would be upset. I mean, it's not because Nicholas Diorio just shat all over him so many times and he can't learn to keep his mouth shut. It's like he comes back in for more. He just keeps opening and just, more and more. He's like, please, sir, may I have some more? It's like every time Flamenco turns around, he's got Diorio's dick in his mouth. He must really love it. That's all I'm going to say. Freaking Flamenco. He's another one of these guys. Flamenco's another one of these guys, right? He can't take his lumps, right? He's dished out enough lumps over his career to people, right? Goofing on people, shitting on people, whatever, right? And then when he gets goofed on himself, when he gets shit on himself, he has complete and total come apart, right? Doesn't handle it, freaks out, continues to freak out, says he's going to take a break, gets his family to pay him some money just for him to unplug from the internet because I guess, I don't know, they're worried about him. He can't even successfully do that. He can't exist in the real world. His whole existence is the internet. Dude, You so need to go get a life, get a job, maybe find you a significant other to maybe go to the movies with, build a life with. Just exit stage right, man. The internet's not for you, and it's not for everybody. You know, it's the internet is a toxic cesspool of just depravity, especially if you're over here watching YouTube. If you're even people like me, right? I try to have as clean and as wholesome of a show as you can have, but crap, even some of the stuff that we have to cover here sometimes gets just horrific. But you know, Flamenco was down in there swimming in it, man. He thought he was like some big shark. Found out, he learned that he was a little what was it, Nemo, right? He got ate up, little clownfish. He found out who the sharks were. That was for darn sure. Anyway, so Destiny, the omniliberal, right? We watched a little bit of the stream yesterday. There were some clips that we watched concerning this girl who came in, Christine, I think it was whatever she said on Destiny's stream, right? Was talking and kind of, you know, she first was alleging or accusing Destiny of, you know, being she flat out called him a rapist, right? And then within like the first 60 seconds of being on the stream with him, she walked that back. And then she said, well, you're more akin to like being a rape apologist or rape adjacent, right? And then after another, 30, 45 minutes of just trauma dumping about all this horrific shit that she's had in her life and her friends' lives, and she's gone through graphic, explicit details of crap that happened to her friends and herself. And after, you know, and how Destiny has the patience to deal with this type of stuff, because this is not a one-off. I mean, he deals with this kind of crap all the time. These people coming into his stream and just trauma dumping the hell out of him. He's patient. He's gracious, you might even say. I don't agree with everything that Destiny says when it comes to political ideologies, but I do have respect for the man. He does treat people with a modicum of grace and dignity, and patience, where I couldn't. I wouldn't even engage in conversations with them to begin with. But he extends his platform to these people. She comes on there and she does all this crap. Turns out all she basically is a jaded woman. This is my take from listening to the stream, right? Is she was a jaded woman who got upset that I think the term some of you guys use these days is a pick me, right? Because you ready for this? Because Edwin picked Babs basically over her. She doesn't like Babs. She doesn't like Babs got some time with Edwin. That's all it boils down to. And she went from this must believe every woman and calling Destiny a rapist to where she agreed with everything that Destiny was saying, 100% walked back everything that she said. And not only on top of that, she then turned around and made it all about, you know, what was really at the root of all of her problems, which was that she didn't believe Babs. She doesn't believe, you know, these women because they were competition for her. Her words. Boy, you want to talk about whiplash from the direction change this chick was doing. Holy crap. So, anyway, Destiny writes out, what an amazing walk back of literally every single thing she said in the conversation. I'm guessing she got a million DMs from progressive assholes telling her she was also a rapist excuse me, she now feels forced to walk it all back. Well, we can't see this. Why? Because she has gone into protection mode. She is hiding. Because why? Because her freaking takes were so horrible that she looked like the idiot that she was. Back a few weeks ago, we were talking about Atroc, right? Atroc was the dude that came out and gave the Jimmy Swaggart apology. I've sinned against my God and you, right? Because he was looking at deep fakes of QT Cinderella and I guess what's her name, Pokimane and what have you, right? So he has become Captain. What would you call it? Captain Deepfakes. He is squashing deepfakes. He's going to do everything he can to shut down deepfakes. And let's hear what he has to say about all this.
Annual training on the bot to get everything. But once it gets going, in 12 hours, we got 512 things, like 10 times the amount of things delisted and 1,000+ things DMCA takedown requested. Like, and this is for a cost that is probably 1/10. I'm paying it, but I'm just saying it's literally for like 1/10 the cost. So the test goes really well, like really well. Like I'm actually, it's the first time I feel like finally like I'm helping. So it's good. It's like we actually take on more stuff for Maya than she was getting before. Like she was getting a better annual training.
So there you go. Captain White Knight, Mr. Shave. I'm gonna come in here and listen. I'm not shitting on because he's shutting down deep fakes, whatever, right? That's fine. I have no problems with them removing the deep fakes that that people were making of those young ladies that that are what's what I'm looking for here, that they didn't ask for, that are harmful to their career or whatever. I'm not poo-poo as he's doing that, right? I'm just it's kind of like it's like I got my hand caught in the cookie jars, so now I'm going to smash all the cookie jars because if I can't have it, nobody's going to have it, right? Is that like a bad take? Am I missing something there? Because that's kind of how it's coming off. I mean, I'm glad that he's removing them. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not so sure if he's the one that should be out here kind of thumping his chest. But hey, looky here, look at everything that I did, right? Look at all this stuff that I'm doing, right? Exactly, Pickleton. Exactly. He's already seen the deep fakes. He now wants to make sure that no one else gets to see him. Right. That's my precious, right? Exactly. That's yeah. So listen, more power to the guy, I guess. Fine. Get these off. I mean, it's obvious was distressing to the young ladies. I can see why it would be distressing, or to guys or whatever, right? It's like last night. I didn't know this, right? But during DeadOnDave stream, they were talking about how evidently Savo had made some, I don't know if it's like behind the scenes or what exactly. I never heard him say it publicly. He might have, I don't know. But evidently Savo was working on doing a deep fake of Nicholas DiOrio, like a porn deep fake. He was going to make a deep fake Nicholas DiOrio. And evidently the next person in line after that was going to be Stardust. So, whatever, I guess. I don't know. I mean, oh, Lord. Poor Salvo. How the great have fallen, right? How the great have fallen. Poor guy. You almost want to feel bad for him, and then you realize, no, I can't. Next. All right. Yesterday we briefly, because there was not a whole lot to it, there was like a 2-minute little like Instagram video or whatever it was that had been put out, where these a quote unquote pedo hunter team got invited onto the No Jumper podcast, Adam22's podcast, and they came in and brought up an old situation where Adam had self-reported back in the day about through an article that he'd written for this blog that he had and ran of him having a conversation with a allegedly at the time a 16-year-old girl, and he was like, I think 19 or was what he was saying, but then the guys were saying no, he's like 22, 23, whatever it was, right? So this clip from this, I guess it's kind of like a podcast or whatever. This is coming from Joe Budden and Adam22, and these recent allegations that came forward. So let's just listen to what this conversation. I found it kind of interesting.
That you got away from that because that can be very dangerous.
Well, that is true.
Let me talk.
Okay.
Especially dealing with a girl that young, number one, but they don't know shit about shit. They don't even know when they're putting somebody in danger, according to you. You said the girl was from wherever she was from, so she didn't know what she was doing, but you knew what you were doing. You said, right. I knew what I was doing, so I got away from her. Well, right. You didn't get away from her if by the grace of God, she ends up back in your life while she's now of age. You're spending the night at her fucking mom's house. What type of white boy pervert shit what are you talking?
What is the pervert shit about dating somebody once they're legal and of age?
You know what it sounds like, and I'm not saying this is what it is.
Joe, I didn't say a word to her for 3.5 years. That, you know, it's like we just sort of ended up
waited for the girl. You waited for the girl, Adam.
Huh?
You waited for the girl.
Yep.
I didn't wait for anything. We just ended up reconnecting later on.
Sure. How did you reconnect later on? Or the Facebook algorithm put the girl in your bed? You didn't know at that point that you probably shouldn't fuck the girl that you were talking to while she was 16 years old?
So because I met her when she was underage, I shouldn't have fucked her when I was over it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying to you.
Well, in retrospect, I wish I had taken that advice. It would have made everything a lot simpler, right?
Well, yeah, if you isolate that, right? But then they have the little nasty tweet floating around where you talking about fucking young girls.
There you go.
I had some. I mean, that seems like an exaggeration. I had some edgy, jokey.
It's not an exaggeration, Adam. It's not an exaggeration. You flat out talked about it. You didn't care if it was statutory or not. You were going to get in.
Tweets from like 2008 to 2012 or some shit that, you know, a lot of those are pretty fucking suspect. I know you, Joe. I know that you remember Twitter back in the day, and you know how fucking toxic it was.
It's still toxic to this day. What do you mean back in the day? It
was bad, which is why I did a scrub of all the bad things that I had to say.
Yeah. So I don't know. This is not, I don't think this is going to go well for Adam22. Now, this whole thing about, well, you know, you met her when she was 16, whatever, and then you didn't have any more. I don't think there's been anything put forth. I'm gonna put it like this. I don't believe there's been anything that's came forward where he stayed in contact with her, had any types of conversations with her, waiting for her to get of age. I don't think there's been any evidence, right? So I don't, if you want to look at it strictly through a very optic lens, career-wise, whatever, okay, an argument can be made to say, okay, optically, maybe it wasn't a good thing because it could be looked at as like maybe he was, you know, potentially could have been, you know, whatever, you know, they say what, grooming or whatever, getting her ready for when she was of age. That could be, you know, allegations that were put forth, whatever, right? You could put that. But let me say this. there are a lot of people in the world who met their spouses when they were younger, right? And then later on life, life thrusts them back together, whatever it is, fate, kismet, or maybe it could very well be a deal where they just, there were some feelings but the age difference, and they just wanted to wait and let the other person go, live some life, get some time underneath their belt, and make sure that this was something that they, and it wasn't just some sort of, puppy love crush type stuff because they were some little starstruck teenager or whatever, right? It's so there's been a lot of relationships that's been that way, and they, wind up together and married and happily for forever, right? So I don't think that in itself is necessarily bad. I don't think I necessarily agree with Mr. Budden on that argument that he was putting forth. But what I will say is if you're trying to have some sort of career, and Adam22 has a pretty big career as far as his presence out there in the YouTube celebrity and so forth, and even mainstream type celebrity, right? Optically, looking through those lenses of celebrity, right? That's not a good look at all. Anyway, I don't know. It's I do know I seen another tweet kind of concerning this, saying how Adam22, his social blade, like followers, subscribers, things like that, had really kind of dropped off and dipped off and what have you. I don't know. I think it's obvious he's not going to come out of this unscathed. Anyway, so moving on to this next story. Evidently, this was a thing that happened. I didn't know anything about this, and I'm gonna be completely above board. I had never heard of the Side Scrollers podcast before. I know very little about the guest they had on, which was Dark Side Phil. Okay, I know of him. I know of some of his sordid past, I guess you would say. The incident that was reported back in the day on Drama Alert, where he was caught. He went live before he thought he did or whatever, and was caught self-pleasuring, shall we say. I don't know what they call it, like 50 Fabergate or something like that. But anyway, but he has the label hung around his neck of being a law cow. He gets accused of being an e-beggar, right? He has been lumped in with other creators such as Wings of Redemption and Boogie2988, which are a couple of other people within the, I guess the sphere, this part of the internet that people like to harass, shit on, troll, whatever you want to call it, about, and the thing of it is and it gives me no great pleasure saying this, especially when I tried to, to be friendly with, when I tried to be friendly with Boogie, and it was not, I don't know. I just think I got played. I think he tried to manipulate me, which I kind of felt that at the time when we were having a conversation, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, they seem to bring a lot of this stuff on themselves through I don't know. I wouldn't think it was intentional that they're doing it. I think they just have some, I don't know if they have some bad wiring, or if it's one of these deals where they get on a track in their lives and they don't know how to get off that track. They don't know how to pull the switch to get onto a different track to make, whatever. Because I still think that people, I don't really watch Wings of Redemption, so I can't speak to him or DSP, but I do watch and consume most of Boogie's content. I still think he could be entertaining. I still think he could have a place and do, content here on YouTube, but he is his own worst enemy. So, and I feel like probably that's the same case with like Wings and DSP. But anyway, these guys, the side scrollers, had DSP on yesterday. And how I became aware of this was Kristen Ark was doing I guess you'd call it like a live reaction, whatever. And so I was watching Chris's stream yesterday, and while I was, I tried to watch as much of it as I could, but I kept getting dragged into stupid Zoom meetings. And so I'd get to listen to it 5, 10, 15 minutes here and there, whatever else. There was one section that I know occurred that I did not get to watch. And that's the section I've kind of got queued up here. Is I know that during this time, one of the things that was brought up to Dark Side Phil, and I don't know which one of the two gentlemen that brought it up, but they brought up the fact that he had, Dark Side Phil, had been offered this deal by Keemstar to start a podcast called the Law Cow Podcast with both Boogie and Wings, right? And Boogie and Wings were both down to do it, and Dark Side Phil would not do it. And Keem had obligated himself to pay each one of them $50,000 up front, period. Irrespective if the podcast sank, didn't take off, didn't whatever. They were each guaranteed $50,000, right? Now, I'll tell you something. So I don't know about you guys, but if I was given the opportunity to make $50,000, right? And all it is going to involve was however many times a month, I was going to have to sit down with two other guys and have a conversation about video games or whatever. To me, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer to me, right? It wouldn't matter. Honestly, truthfully, it would not matter if I liked these guys or not, right? So I don't know how DSP feels about Boogie. I don't know how he feels about Wings. Doesn't matter. I know he doesn't like Keemstar, but irrespective, if I have an opportunity and it's not an immoral, it's not against the law, and it gives me an opportunity to have a side hustle that is not going to be like all time consuming, right? And to make that kind of money, show me where to sign. As long as it's not going to put me in, like I say, some sort of a position to where I'm going to have to, it's going to impact my life negatively to where I can't do my main, my regular job or whatever, right? Because I'm going to tell you what, guys, I don't know about you, but like $50,000 to a lot of people, that's a year's salary, right? And I don't know, honestly, I don't know if there was like, okay, you have to guarantee me X amount of podcasts in a certain amount of time. I don't know any of the particulars. I don't know if they had even gotten to that point where they were talking the specifics about it, right? I don't think it ever even got to that point. I think it was just a matter of, hey, I've got this idea, right? And Keemstar, for all his whatever, right? I mean, he's not exactly a saint. I'm not going to put a halo around his head or nothing, but he is a savvy businessman, right? And if he sees an opportunity to where he thinks he can make some money, he's going to try to make some money, right? He has a good head for business. No one can ever take it away from him. So if he was offering these guys to take money out of his pocket up front, right, and to pay him $50,000, right? Guaranteed $50,000, irrespective of what the podcast does or does not do, as long as they meet certain contractual obligations, right? And as long as those obligations were, you know, not detrimental to what they were already trying to do, and was something they could squeeze into their time or whatever, I don't see how you don't say yes, right? But I do know that during this conversation, DSP, they asked him about it, and DSP was like, he kind of plays it off like, you know, like he kind of tried to, you know, really didn't, whatever. And he, you know, and he's kind of shitting all over Keemstar and so forth, right? But these guys continue to push him a little bit about it, which good on them, right? So let's kind of pick this up and kind of listen. I think I've kind of got it where it's not too back far from where Keem comes in, but it does give a little bit of backstory, which I do think is important.
I'm not trying to broker a business deal or anything like that, but are you open to talking with him now?
I'm curious what he even wants to talk about. I'm not being on his stuff. I refuse.
Okay.
So.
Well, okay, I'm going to bring him on. Right?
Wait, so you're okay with him coming on to talk?
As long as he's not going to sit here and insult me or do, you know, you guys have already asked me so many questions. I don't want him interrogating me too. It's of your show, not his.
That's not.
Right.
I mean, Keem, you know, he's watching obviously, so it's like that's not the case. We're the interviewers. He just said he agrees.
Yeah, he agrees. So look, we're going to bring him on, and like I said, I think this is not a tremendous opportunity for friction. This is an opportunity to build a bridge. So let's do this real quick. Keemstar, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. And Phil, thank you for letting me on to talk to you directly. I do mean what I said here in the chat, that I will be respectful. I'm not here to interrogate you, but I desperately want to represent my point of view in this situation between me and you. Because what I've heard listening to this podcast or this interview or whatever you want to call it, is you describing problems that you have in your life, paying bills, being harassed by, you know, your detractors or whatever. And I actively went out of my way to solve major problems in your life. And me and you are not friends. In fact, before I put together this business opportunity for you, me and you were fighting back and forth. It started with you on your podcast out of nowhere, reacting to me retiring when I turned 40, and you said, well, that guy's evil, and you know, all these horrible stuff and blood money, whatever you said about me, because you don't like my show Drama Alert. And many of your detractors picked up on right away that the reason why you don't like my show and you don't support me is because we covered the fapping situation in 2016.
Oh, that's
that is
completely untrue. Dude, you covered it fairly.
Go ahead, respond, Phil.
You covered it fairly. You didn't even really harp on it. One of your guys contacted me behind the scenes, said, do you have anything else to add? Do you want to be on the show? I was like, no, you covered it fairly. I don't think you were unfair at all. That's not the case. Thank
you, because I don't think I was unfair either. You know?
No, not at all. Who told you that? That's bullshit. That's the detractors making shit up. I didn't know.
Everybody jumped to that conclusion why you had such a hateful response to me retiring was because of that.
So here's the question you have to ask yourself, or at least I ponder myself, is if it was because he covered obviously, I think, agreeable, very embarrassing moment in Phil's life there, right? Getting caught, self-pleasuring online like that. Then what is it? What could it be that quote Keemstar has done that has put such a bad taste in Phil's mouth?
Because we have no previous history, Phil.
Correct.
I've never talked to you. The only interactions I've ever had with you is just covering this one story about you.
Mm-hmm.
And just, this is a great example of why I wanted to bring you on, because there's clearly a miscommunication somewhere along the lines, right? Clearly. So, Phil thought Keemstar did this, Keemstar thought Phil did this. All right. So we're in a better place, which is great.
So to move on from that, I see a clip and it's on Phil's stream. He's reacting to my retirement and he's saying I'm this horrible, evil person, and he doesn't support me. And I responded.
Hold on, Keem, is that true, Phil?
I don't know. I'm sure I've criticized him. I don't know specifically what he's talking about yet.
Okay, continue.
I don't know exactly what was said. I'm going off of memory, but it was something along those lines. The clip gets sent to me by multiple people. So I respond to Phil because the only thing I know about Phil is him being a lol cow, right? Him on stream begging for money to pay rent and stuff like that. That's all I know about him. So I responded to him on Twitter, which I thought was pretty clever. In gaming terms, and I explained to him that like we are roughly the same age. We've been doing YouTube for like 15 years each. We started at the same time, and I'm retiring now, and I don't ever have to work again. So I have completed this video game of YouTube.
Yeah.
And I
You've
said
done
to
that.
Phil, "You're still on level 1." All right.
Yeah.
You're still on level 1 and you're restarting, level 1 over and over again, like a video game, and you're getting nowhere. You're still at the point where you're begging people on stream to pay your bills.
That's a great analogy, right? You would think that after doing something for 15 years and having the level of exposure and success or whatever, why are you not, and that's a good question for people like Darkside Phil, like Boogie, like Wings of Redemption, right? If you've done this and you've done this 15, 20 years or whatever, and you have reached those heights, right? Where you've made all this money, where is it? Were you so bad at managing your money? And that's, I see this a lot, with people. They think, okay, I've hit the big time with YouTube, right? And so I made whatever it is, $100,000, $200,000 this year in YouTube money. I made all this money. So they go out, and they see what it is. They start seeing these revenue checks coming in from ad sponsors or AdSense or whatever it is, money sources that they have coming in for making content, right? Donations, subs to the channel, things, whatever, right? And they have all this money coming in, and they think, "Oh, I've got it made, right? I've hit the big time." What they don't understand is, or what they fail to take in consideration is, you have to turn around and you have to pay taxes on all this, right? And because of what you're classified as, right, under U.S. tax code, you're considered an independent contractor, right? And as an independent contractor, you're in one of the highest tax brackets out there, right? You're considered self-employed. So you're having to pay all of the Social Security or FICA. You're having to pay all of the federal tax, all of the state tax. You're having to pay all of that kind of stuff, right? And guess what? That's not putting any money. There's no monies that's being, the YouTube or AdSense or sponsors or all this stuff. There's no 401k, right? There's no Roth IRA. There's nothing, right? So you're an average American, right? Such as myself. My tax bracket, my tax burden is somewhere between 20 to 25% of my annual income right off the top. That's taxes, right? So I'm left with about 75 to 80% of what I work to live off throughout the year, right? Now, off of that 75%, 80%, I have to make investments for retirements to be able to, when I get to an age where I can say, hey, I don't have to work no more, right? Then you have to cover other things like living expenses, home or rent, right? Mortgage, rent. You've got utilities. You've got to pay groceries, right? You have maintenance costs on your if you have a house. You have maintenance costs that you have to factor in, right? You have automobiles. You have to maintenance on them and upkeep on them, right? All these things. And a lot of times the problem is when these people start making all this money, they think, oh, I don't have to worry about any of this stuff anymore, right? And they go out and they start spending money so frivolously, so foolishly. They go and they buy these big houses and they buy these fancy cars and they do all these things, right? And then all of a sudden, the end of the year comes around, we got to pay taxes. And they're like, whoa, 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 what the hell? What is all this, right? That's not how it works, guys. It's not how it works. Listen, I'm not a smart man, right? I've never ever compared myself to be the smartest tack in the box or the brightest bulb out there, right? But I know just basics, common sense things. There's things that you have to do to protect yourself, that you have to prepare yourself. And guys, listen here, right? This is not just for content creators, right? You guys who watch this stuff, right? This is practices you have to put in your own life, right? If you're out there working, you have to understand, right, that you have to be doing things to protect yourself in the long run, right? You have to have retirement funds that you have to have set out there. That's the long-term planning, right? That's for when you're getting ready to, you've worked whatever it is, 30 years, whatever, or 40 years, and you're able to retire, right? So that you have money out there that will carry you through. Otherwise, you have to work until the day you die, right? And then you have to have on-hand liquid cash in a savings account or something, because inevitably there's always going to be something that's going to pop up that's going to be, you've got to have money right then and there to take care of, right? Like all of a sudden you have to put a new roof on your house. Well, there's about $7,000 to $10,000, boom, that you have to have in your hands to be able to put a new roof on your house, right? Or the HVAC in your house goes out. Well, there's $5,000 you got to be able to drop down right then and there to put an HVAC, right? Or your lawnmower goes out and you got to go get a new lawnmower, or pay to have the one that that you had get fixed if it's repairable, right? That's just some of the things, right? Or car repairs. There's my point. What I'm trying to say is you cannot sit there and when you get your checks and you make your bills payments you say, oh, look, I have a couple $100 extra this month. That means I can go buy a bunch of video games, or I can make a bunch of donations. No, that's not what that means. That means you need to take that and you need to put that in a nest egg, right? For one of those rainy days. Now, that's not to say that don't donate to your favorite streamers or stay subscribed to their channels. Whatever you have to budget is all I'm saying. Budget, budget, budget. You have to sit down and you have to say, okay, I have X amount of dollars coming in, whatever. And it sounds like to me, from what I'm hearing, that DSP has fallen into the same kind of traps that Boogie and some of these other guys, they had all this money coming in and they just weren't wise about it. So let's go on back to this and let's hear what this, because Keemstar, from what I'm seeing here, seems like he really offered him a really, really good opportunity.
And whatnot. And I thought that was a good response, right? Even though I am talking trash and, we got a little drama going on for Twitter and whatnot, I thought that I was actually giving you good advice. And,
yeah, I was gonna say that
is that advice or is that more like, because in text
felt like
form,
a backhanded smack,
right,
with internet Twitter battles,
100%,
Okay.
but it's also advice, right? My point in those Twitter videos was that Phil needs to do something.
Hang on, was it a backhanded thing? Sure. Was it a puffing my chest, look at me? Oh, 100%. Keem admits that. Is there truth in what he's saying? 100%. Now, I don't, and these guys are laughing, dismissing it. Dismiss it. That's fine. Keem's 40 years old and was able to retire and didn't have to ever work a day in his life. Think on that for a minute.
Something different. Imagine you're playing a video game. You're on level 1 and you try the same technique over and over again. All right. And you're dying and you have to restart the level over. Like, you're never going to beat level 1. And that's the situation that Phil has been in.
Right. And Phil, what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like there's any truth to that? Or do you feel like that Keemstar is out of his out of his way to kind of make you look a fool?
Well, first of all, the best way to give life advice is to, say it in an insulting way, for sure. I mean, makes everyone very receptive to it, correct?
Right.
Make sure
Well,
to do a
fair
nice
point, but
slap at
Let him
someone
finish, Game.
on Twitter. Is there some truth to it? Yes. Okay. But here's the thing: if you have a criticism of me, then criticize me fairly in a way where maybe I have a chance to have a conversation. Instead, you just go to your platform and you say something nasty about me on there. I'm a tiny little guy, okay? When I say something on my stream, who hears it? A couple hundred people? Yes, my detractors then echo it. They extrapolate it all over the internet. Boom, it's amplified, correct? But I'm the little guy. You are a big guy, Keem. You're huge. You have a giant reach on the internet. Do you not understand that the stuff that you say and do has repercussions for everyone around you? You seem to be someone that you're not self-aware. You don't understand that when you say something like that, now I have to live with that shit.
I'm pretty sure. Keemstar's not self-aware. Let me unpack that for a second. Let me unpack that. I think Keemstar is very self-aware. I do think that sometimes maybe he forgets how big of a stick that he does swing sometimes, right? Because I think he kind of gets torn, right? Keemstar likes to kind of get down into the, I guess for lack of a better word, kind of likes to get into the mud every now and then and kind of scrap a little bit with, he likes that. He likes to get a little bit dirty. He likes to get into little Twitter battles. He likes to have the little drama things, right? He loves to do that kind of stuff. But I think maybe sometimes he forgets that, when he does that, just how much he's bringing with him. And so it is, as a person that's smaller, whatever, I guess it could be a little bit intimidating, but I think if you look at it on the other side too, right? If Keemstar is engaging with you, right? If you conduct yourself in a proper manner, right? If you're able to stand toe to toe with him and not worry about his big stick or fan base, whatever that brings with him, right? But if you're able to go toe to toe with Keemstar, right? I think two things happens. I think you will impress Keemstar, you will impress the other, others around, and it can be a net positive for you, right? But again, it's all how you conduct yourself. Bottom line.
For months on end, I get, you're on level 1. Phil, level 1. Yo, you've been for 15 years. You're just on level 1. Do you think I need that? I already have enough shit in my life going on.
Okay, but but this goes to, I'm running out of time, so we're not going to get into all of this. We may have to kind of finish this up tomorrow, or whatever. But you say you got all this shit. What the dude? You're supposed to be smart enough to learn what doesn't work and not keep doing it. Why would you continue to beat your head against a brick wall and expect different outcomes? That is the very definition of insanity, is when you continue to do the exact same maneuvers, the same exact steps, and expect a different outcome. That is insanity by its very definition, dude. God. You know what? I don't know. Whatever. Like I say, I'll have to, let me make some notes right quick where we're at, guys, and we'll have to finish this tomorrow. Let me get the timestamp saved out here. All right. Because I do want to continue this. I do want to continue watching this video with you guys and kind of covering this because, and hey, and by the way, feel free to 100% go over. This was called, this is the Side Scrollers YouTube channel. Here's what I'm going to do. I will put this there's the link to the video. You guys can go watch it if you are so inclined to go support these guys. But kudos to them for getting this conversation even happening to begin with. Between, I'm hoping, like I say, I'm kind of torn. I do want to watch the rest of this, but I also kind of want to kind of go in this code with you guys. So I think I may kind of hold off on watching the rest of this, and we'll just pick it up at tomorrow morning and focus on it tomorrow. But I'm hoping that that maybe they can come to some sort of agreement. Hopefully Phil could open his eyes, the scales will be removed from it, and maybe he will take Keem up on his offer. Because if the guy's hurting, right? If the guy's hurting for that much money, if he's needing it because of financial, because I know earlier in the stream bits and pieces I did catch, he talks about how, you know, bankruptcy and stuff, and there was some sort of conversation about and around. They seem to really hammer about a WWE game or something like that. Anyway, it's like I said, I may go back and try to watch the first 4 hours, because it was like a 5-hour podcast or stream. I may go back and try to watch the first, so I get a little bit more backstory on all this. Because like I say, I just caught bits and pieces of this yesterday, in between Zoom meetings, because Chris was streaming it and I was kind of over there. But what bits and pieces that I listened to, it sounds like to me Phil's not a very smart man. He's not making good sound business decisions. Either that, or he has allowed. There was I know there was some questions about a what do they call it, like a bookkeeper or a CPA or something like that. I'm wondering if maybe this person is taking advantage. WWE Champions was the game. It's been told he spent a lot on app purchases. Oh, okay. So it's probably one of those games where you can, like, in-game purchases and stuff, right? Where you can spend real money to buy, like characters or maybe skins or something like that, right? Yeah. One of those pay-to-play, type, pay-to-win, whatever type games, probably. Yeah, those things are I hate games like that, right? I don't mind games like Fortnite's not too terribly bad. It's not necessarily a pay to win. It's just, you know, you buy all the different skins. Well, fine, play with whatever skin you want. I don't care, right? But anyway, listen, I do have to wrap things up real quick before we get out of here. A couple things, like I said, I've already mentioned to go check out the DeadOnDave streams from Monday night, Wednesday night, and then last night, Thursday night. Those were some really banger content. And I believe you would, if you haven't seen them, definitely go check them out. Go check them out. They're very, very good. A couple other things. I've got to watch this. I haven't watched it yet. This is the now recording. They go over the Quite accusations. And I guess they were lies and stuff. And they have, I guess DSP Diesel, I think is the names of the person in there. Definitely go check that out. I'm gonna go check now recording. Looks like Wayweb Surfer has a new one out, the E-Girl Killers. I've got to check that out. Wayweb Surfer, his stuff is always real good. Looks like Turkey Tom's dropped a new video as well. I know, let me do this before I forget it. There will not be a DeadOnDave show tonight because he's got some things he's got to do. But more importantly, he is going to be on the Whammon recording podcast. He's going to be doing that. I don't think it's going to be live because I think they record everything and then they release it later on. But he's doing that recording this evening, so there will not be a DeadOnDave show. But so be looking for a let me just check out. Let's go see women recording podcast. Here we go. Let's see, is it I'm looking here. Okay. No. All right, so it doesn't look like they have a live one set up or whatever, but let me do this here. Get this here. Copy. Here's a link to their website, or to their YouTube channel, rather, not the website. There's the women recording. I say Dave. I know Dave's going on there to do it's a very special episode. Okay, yeah. So make sure you go check that out. He felt really bad last night. He had intentions of hyping it up, and it was going to at the end of the show when everybody was doing their shout outs and whatever, and it totally slipped his brain. And so like right after he came in, whatever, and he's like, oh, and he was really beating himself up about it. So he did ask us to to hype it up in our shows and stuff, whatever. So anyway, he will be doing a thing on the women recording with them this afternoon. So he won't be able to do a show, do his YouTube shows, but I do think he's going to try to do something. It's okay. We're just recording that. Okay. Cause I do know you guys stream a little bit, but I wasn't for sure if this was going to be one of those or what exactly. I know typically when you guys do your interviews or whatever, it is, it's recorded and edited and then uploaded, what have you. So anyway, but make sure you're checking out the women recording. Make sure you're checking out the broadcast, Xylee, and her co-hosts on there, Eva and oh Lord of mercy, here we go. Why can't I remember the other name? It's Eva Mystic. I can't remember her name. Anyway, but yeah, make sure you're checking out the broadcast as well. They are in the process of adding a fourth member to their team. They've got some really good candidates that have thrown their name in the hat. I know Bunny Buttons, Stardust, and that's two that I know off the top of my head. I know there were some others that I saw that would be really, really good selections. Really good selections. So they're gonna have their hands full. I think they're gonna have their hands full trying to decide on that. I don't envy them, because like I said, they've got some really good candidates that have said, yeah, they want to be a part of the team. Let's see, what else I got now recording. I got the broadcast. I got women recording. DeadOnDave's doing that. I really need a list. I need a list to help me with all this stuff, because I always forget stuff, and then I feel like a complete total idiot afterwards. Clear's Mud podcast. Have I talked about that lately? All right. So Banana and I have had a conversation. We had a conversation. Banana will be back Sunday. I'm not for sure what we'll be talking about. We don't normally have our meetings to discuss whatever we're going to be discussing till usually on Saturday evenings or something. We will be doing so Banana will be back Sunday. And I'm looking forward to that. We'll be glad to have him back. But I think the people that stepped in while he was taking a break, Doug and Max did an awesome job, and I think they did a really, really good job. But anyway, I do have to get out of here. I'm way over time. I will be back here tomorrow morning at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. My plan is to continue this interview that the side scrollers did with Dark Side Phil. We'll pick up where we left off and watching that and going through that. Plus anything else that comes up. The great thing about tomorrow is I don't have a job to get to on Saturdays, so it'll give us more time to we can really take and have whatever. We'll be able to go through all this stuff in a little bit more detail, whatever. Depending on how I feel, maybe I can actually debut a gaming stream tonight. Maybe since Dave's not going to go live, maybe we can do a gaming stream tonight. If that's something that I get worked out or whatever, just watch my Twitter. I'll put out a tweet about it, and maybe we'll have some gaming with Peepaw this evening. I would like that. I think that would be fun. I need some gaming time. I haven't had a lot of gaming time here lately, and I'm that part of my brain's getting pretty itchy. So, anyway, you guys have a great day. Remember to keep your powder dry, and I'll see you in the funny papers.
You don't know what I've become. Can't you see it in my face?